Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. This is Josh. I'm going to be your presenter today. Today's topic is accounting, corrections, and reversals. So first thing, Church Windows has, while we do have a fairly strict audit trail, there's also a good deal of flexibility in this software. And you have a lot of flexibility in terms of making changes and corrections to transactions in the software pretty much at any point, okay? Where we're going to spend the bulk of the time today is right up here under Transactions and Browse in the upper left-hand corner. Let me get out my highlighter here, Transactions right up here, and then just below that, Browse, right here, my poorly drawn arrow. I've still not gotten better at that over the years. So that is where we're going to be working primarily, okay? After you post transactions, I don't care where they come from, whether they're donations, payroll transferred in, bills, payments, income transactions, journal entries, transfers, doesn't matter. Once those transactions are posted, they're going to show up here, okay? So there's a lot here, okay? Honestly, on my support calls with accounting customers, when they're calling me about trying to make changes or corrections or trying to be able to find information out about things, I will spend a lot of time in this window, okay? Basically, while we do have a set number of, we have just a default layout. So if you look down here at the very bottom, okay, you've got this button that says Restore Default Layout, Restore Saved Layout. Well, Restore Default Layout is the one down here. This is the one I'm talking about. This is the one that we build into the software, and basically it would be where you would go back and say, okay, I want to go back to how Church Windows sets this up, okay? And so what that does is it basically just resets all the columns as we see here. So if I do Restore Default Layout, yeah, notice it kind of shifted the screen a little bit. It goes back to the screen that as we would set it up, all right? So you can always go back to this default if you wish, but you can also customize this. Much like the reports, this page can be customized to your particular user settings based on your login to Church Windows. And we do that typically by going up here to the button in the upper left, Change Year, Filter, and Sort. Okay, but we're going to come back to that momentarily. There's a couple of other things I want to discuss here. As with any other pages in Church Windows or under transactions like in donations and what have you, if you click on any one of these column headers here, notice it's going to resort it by account name. If I click on account name, the column header, if I scroll up here, notice it's a binary sort, so it's bringing in numeric account names first, 941 taxes. Then I move down here. He said, scrolling down. Yeah, and then now that I've moved through those accounts with numbers in them, it moves them into an alphabetic sort, okay? So I can click on any column header here and resort this, okay? Couple things on the left. I can't stress this enough. There's a little bit darker blue line here to the left, you see, and it says we've got our view column, so you can view the transactions. There's the transaction number column and the transaction type, okay? Then you've got that little dark blue line right there that goes down here. This is where that kind of is separated, all right? And what I mean by that is I cannot bring transaction number and transaction type to the right of that blue line, and I cannot bring any of the other fields to the left of that line. Transaction number and transaction type and view will always appear to the left of that. I can hide those, I can omit them, but I can never kind of flip them past those lines, okay? So notice, if I pick up like debit amount and credit account, I can move these, see? So I can pick those up and I can shift these columns around here just by picking them up and moving them, okay? Lots and lots of flexibility. If I want to view a transaction, I simply highlight it and click View. Opens up my view donation transaction for that particular entry. I can't do anything with it here, okay? I can, but I can look at it. So if I'm wanting to go in and look at a particular transaction for a bill or a payment, so let me go ahead and resort it by date occurred again, ascending, not descending. So here I've got, if I've got bills or payments down here somewhere and I can click on a particular, even the payroll transactions I can highlight and it'll show me the breakdown of that, okay? So again, you can do a whole lot here without ever going to the change year, filter, and sort. Finally, before we dive into that, okay, up here, and this is again a commonly overlooked feature, I guess that would be a way that would be better to put it, is right up here between the column headers, view, transaction number, type, all these columns across here, and below our change year, filter, and sort, we've got this light blue lettering that says drag a column here to group by that column up to 3. And then to the right of that, it says click a column header to sort or sort by multiple columns, hold shift and click another column. But what that's essentially alluding to is if I go, all right, I want to group all of my transaction types together and then sort them by date, subsort, date occurred. All I have to do is pick up a column header here, in this case type, drag it up there and drop it. Notice now it's now sorted accounts receivable, collect, and invoice transactions, and bills, and donations, and income, all in alphabetical order based on the type, okay? But if I do that and I expand that, say under my bills, notice it's still sorting it in date occurred order. But if I want to verify that, I can also pick up and drag up the date occurred, and it will now sort those within the actual without expanding or drilling down to the specific transactions. Okay, so again, you can do grouping and sorting all right here by simply using that drag and drop feature with those particular with a particular columns. So I can do that up to 3 types, three columns if I wish. As soon as I close out of browse transactions and relaunch it again, it goes right back to the default. Okay? Okay, so, all right, I said that was it before going to change your filter and sort. I was wrong. One more thing here. Folks, you've got an option here, and again, I'm talking about things because, again, they're frequently underutilized, okay? That's what I talk about. I mean, you can look at these pages in the help, you can look at the workbooks, and you can look at all the technicality, the technical aspects of the browse, changing corrections, what have you. But again, that doesn't explain how it can be used in a practical fashion. One of the things that I see on my support calls a lot of times, folks, is right up here, down here, up here, down here, which way am I talking? Down here at the bottom right, I've got a button that says search in grid, okay? So basically what that allows you to do is it allows you to search for particular keywords or combinations of, alpha or numeric characters that may help you isolate particular transactions you're wanting, okay? So if you also have it up here in the upper right as well. So right here, you've got that little magnifying glass right up here. That is the search in grid too, okay? So if I click on search in grid, notice it reveals enter text to search up here in the upper right. All right, see that little box right here with the X next to it? And then a find button. So I can type a keyword in there and search, and it will search whatever columns are displayed on the grid, it'll find a keyword in there, okay? So if I just X out of it and then click on the little magnifying glass, it'll just bring it back. You don't have to go down to search in grid to get that. But if I just want to get rid of it, I just use the X to close out of it. So if I want to search, say, bill, okay, and then click search, notice now it is finding all kinds of places in the text or the fields that I have in here. Notice bill. So it finds it in comments. I advise folks to use those comments, line item or transaction comments. If the software can't do something, you can enter something in those comments or the line item or transaction comments, and it'll help you find those. Okay, you have the same option under donations as well, under browse. Okay, but it will help you find specific transactions that you may not otherwise be able to find. Utilize that and find that, use that search in grid. It will help when you maybe don't expect it to, okay? All right, let's dive into change your filter and sort. So this, folks, is I use this on my support calls all the time, all the time. This is essentially a way of being able to drill down to or find or filter out transactions you don't want to see to find those that you do, okay? So like for an example, I get a lot of calls on support where folks go, well, I've got a question about a particular vendor, or I've got an outstanding bill, or I've got a balance in a vendor account that I'm unsure where that's coming from, okay? And a lot of folks are unaware of this, but I can go to the vendor's payee tab here to find a vendor. I'm typically going to go here if I'm going to be wanting to look for multiple vendor or payee accounts simultaneously. But if I'm going to be wanting to look at just one, I'll just use the account menu here, okay? So if I type in, say, city florist, there's my city florist, click OK. Oh, no transactions, bad choice. Let's do Columbia Gas. So do our gas bill. Columbia, there it is, Columbia Gas. Click OK. There are all of my transactions for that particular payee or vendor for 2025. Okay? I have isolated only their transactions, omitting everything else that's posted. Okay? So that's just one. You can enter a combination of things here, folks. I can go, okay, I want to look for Columbia Gas where I had the date occurred of, say, 1/1, January 2025 through March 31st, 2025. Okay? So again, I can say just bills, clear all, checking just bill transactions. So Columbia Gas, bills that were entered in the first quarter of the year. Click OK, boom, there they are. Okay? This is one of the most powerful tools in accounting. And a lot of folks are just kind of, I don't know why they don't use it enough, but it is really one of the most effective tools that I use on my support calls with folks. The filter tab, honestly, it's really great. I now do clear filter. It resets everything back. I simply click OK, and I'm now back to where I was. Okay? On change your filter and sort, you've got the various tab, custom account groups. I can limit it to transactions that are related to accounts that are associated with custom account groups that I have. I have a group and sort option where basically I can do sort or group, unlike the drag and drop, right? So that only has the group option on it. This has group and sort options on it, okay? I also have column control. So notice here, I have most of my columns overlisted under my visible columns, but I don't have batch code reversed, corrected, or number files, okay? So I have the ability to not only come in here and change the columns that are being displayed, but I also have the ability to reorder those. This is, again, a common reporting tool in the software. I can move them back and forth, left to right, or I can reorder them using the up and down arrows here to the far right, okay? And if I, down here at the bottom, sorry, I'm getting rid of my drawing tool too quickly. If you have a particular selection that you like to have this screen displayed as long as you have your own login to church windows, if you just check the box down here, save selections as default, and then click OK, it will remember those selections for you based on your login. Okay? So again, lots of options for you to be able to make this screen work to your benefit. Okay? Okay, fonts options, you can limit or change fonts, how it's displayed. Again, vendors, payees, I will use this typically if I'm going to be searching for multiple vendors or wanting to look at multiple vendor or payee accounts simultaneously. But if it's just one, I'm going to go back to the filter tab, okay, and use the account. I can show reversed or show only reversed on this screen, folks, by right down here, checking the box on the left, show reverse, show only reversed. My point about this, and this is what I hope everybody kind of takes away from this, is you really need to familiarize yourself with this screen if you're the person who's doing the bulk of the work in accounting, okay? If you're entering and posting transactions in accounting, this is one of the screens that you're going to need to be familiar with because you're going to be working in it. And if you learn to use it effectively, it will save you time and it will minimize mistakes. Okay? Helps you to eliminate. I work with folks on support calls all the time and they go, hang on, let me find the transaction. And they literally scroll through the entire list of transactions as opposed to going up to the change year filter and sort, entering whatever they know about the transaction that they're seeking. Okay? I basically say if you know anything about the entry, this will help you find it. Well, I think I posted it, last week. So I go under date posted and put in last week under date posted and click OK. It'll show me all the transactions I posted while sitting at the computer last week. Okay? If you have an amount, an account, a vendor name, a payee, a check number, right? We've got all of these over here. Check or reference number, account. I can even go in and look at transactions in previous or other financial or accounting years as well here. I can't change them, but I can certainly look at them. Folks, you have to dive into this window and play with it. Until you begin to work with it, it's difficult to explain what it can actually do for you because like I said, on my support calls, I spend a lot of time here. All right. So again, it's a window that you need to become familiar with. It's so much you can do here. All right. So let's say I've now gone in and I've found a particular, let's see, American Electric Power. Once you've gone in here and you've entered your criteria and clicked OK and you've isolated the particular transaction or transactions that you're looking for, now we're in a position where we can look at harnessing another level of power in the software, which in this case, to me, is the correct function. All right. I suggest on all of my support calls, use correct wherever, whenever, or wherever possible. Okay. You don't have to reverse a transaction many times in order to simply make a change. Okay. So if I over here, so let me kind of go through things really quickly. So if we go back to change year, filter, and sort, I'm just going to kind of use this window as a means to be able to kind of talk about these transaction types. Okay. So you definitely cannot correct payroll transactions in accounting. Those off limits. If I want to change payroll transactions, I have to start in payroll to make those changes. Okay. I have limited capability for changing donation transactions. Okay. I can correct comments on those if I recall correctly. I can also correct it and retransfer in those donation transactions into accounting. But if I need to make a change to donations, that again has to start in the donations module. Okay. All the other transaction types, income, bill, payment, transfer, accounts receivable invoice, accounts receivable collect, and journal entry transactions, all those transactions can be corrected right here under Browse. Every one of them. Okay. So if I go to reset, clear filter, and click OK, it brings them all back. All right. So if I go to, say, one of my accounts receivable invoice transactions here and click correct, notice it opens that up and it allows me to change anything about this transaction. The date occurred, I don't think I can change the invoice number. I can change the client. I can change the income account. I can mark it as unpaid if I want to, okay? I can change the collected status on that, all right? And then when I'm done, I will click the Save Correction button down here in the bottom right, okay? That's true for anything here, all right? So if I click Cancel Corrections, and let's say I go up to Donations here and try to click Correct, it brings up again, do I want to correct the comments or do I want to change the accounting accounts to reverse and retransfer? That's the limit, okay, of what I can do with regards to my donation transactions. If I click a payroll transaction, and again, folks, what's telling me this is over here in the column on the right, on the left, called Type, right? PYRL is payroll, DONA are donations. They're pretty intuitive if you kind of pay attention to them, all right? But if I click on a payroll entry and I try to click correct, it says payroll transactions must be corrected in the payroll module and transferred over to accounting again. Okay, great. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. But if I now go back into my change year filter and sort and I bring up, say, bills, payments, I don't know if I have any transfers or income transactions, but we'll look, or journal entries, and click OK. So here are all of my bills and payments and any of the other transaction types that I've posted. But I can simply come here and I can either click correct or reverse, either one. Okay. Correcting will save you time and minimize mistakes. It will allow you to correct anything about these transactions. Okay. I don't think I have any in here right now, but one of the things you've got to be paying attention to is, and I was in a rush to kind of prepare for this today, was you've got to pay attention, folks, to certain dialog boxes as they appear. Like if a particular payment or payroll transaction is reconciled, or a transaction is reconciled, if you attempt to correct it or reverse it, it's going to tell you that. Okay? It's going to pop up and say, hey, this transaction is reconciled. It is not advised that you make changes or corrections or reverse it, as it may affect the bank rec. And so you should definitely heed that. All right? Because, a lot of folks don't, and it can create havoc with your bank reconciliation. If a transaction is reconciled, typically that means whatever went on with the cash portion of that transaction was not wrong because it cleared the bank. Okay? If I maybe posted it to the wrong vendor account or something, I can fix that another way. I don't have to correct the original payment. Also, folks, if you've got bills and payments, right? So if I've got, a bill and a payment that's wrong, whether it's the amount or something like that, or the account, like the amount notably, I may have to correct two different transactions. So again, if I go back to my change year filter and sort, and I bring up my electric company again and click OK, here are all their bills and payments, right? Folks look at this and they go, well, my transactions are duplicated because I'm seeing the same amount listed twice. No, one's the bill, one's the payment. As a double entry fund accounting system, there's going to be two accounts involved in every single transaction. So I've got two accounts in the bill, two accounts in the payment. So folks who are unfamiliar with that, call me on support and go, I'm sure I've got my transactions duplicated. I come in here, I look at them, and you got one bill and one payment? Yep, then it's right. So hopefully folks kind of get a hold of that in their thinking and begin to understand that, how a double entry accounting system works. Okay. So just be aware, folks, correct or reverse. So if I go down here and I go, oh, I've got my June 20th bill and payment that for AEP needs to go away, I have to click on either one of those transactions and go right up here to reverse. Okay. So if I click on that, it allows me to enter some comments. I would definitely try to enter as much comments for audit purposes as to why I'm reversing things or correcting things if possible. Well, reversing. So typically we advise that you reverse them as of the original date, though advanced options does give you a choice to be able to change the date. But boy, folks, you've got to exert enormous caution when you do this, if you choose something under advanced options. If you do, and you do it wrong under the advanced options, it can create real problems that cannot be changed. Okay? Maybe reversing isn't the appropriate course of action. Okay? Maybe on June, because I'm still working maybe on my June bank rec, or I haven't finalized that, I can acceptably reverse these. But there may be another way or better way for me to handle it. But I deal with this on support calls all the time. And as much as the bill and the payment are entered and posted separately, you have to reverse the bill and the payment separately. I get that question on support calls all the time. Well, if I reverse the bill, is that going to reverse the payment too? No, it doesn't. So just like they have to be posted separately when entered, they have to be reversed separately to get rid of them. See, if I reverse the bill for AEP, enter comments of some kind, click OK, it says, are you sure? Click yes, and it tells me that it's been reversed. Okay. Notice the payment for June 20th is still there. I have to reverse the payment as well. So I reverse that. Again, can enter comments. I can copy and paste comments too. Click OK. Click yes to the confirm prompt. Click OK when it's been reversed. Okay? Folks, reversing transactions is not always the correct course of action. Okay? Correcting may not even be the correct course of action, depending on the problem. All right? You just have the ability to be able to do that. I want to show you when we go back to change year, filter, and sort, and we do the show reversed. Okay, click OK. Here are my reverse transactions in red. Okay, audit trail. There's the original entry and then the adjusting entry that Church Windows adds in to offset the debits and credits or invert the debits and credits. If I go back to change year, filter, and sort, and I go, I only want to see only the reversed, I can check just to show only reversed and click OK, and it only shows me the reversed entries, nothing more. Typically, I don't work a lot with reverse transactions. You know, folks, they're there if folks want to look at them, but typically I don't have much need to look at the reversed. But if an auditor wants to see what somebody's done, they may want to see those. You have the ability to get those back in or to show those. Okay. I am encouraging each and every one of you to come into this window and explore it and play with it. Okay. Like I said, while I can go up to change year, filter, and sort and choose, say, 2024 from the menu and click OK, here I'm looking at all of my 2024 transactions. Notice view is gone. I highlight a transaction. I can't click correct or reverse up here. Okay. I can see them, but if I want to manipulate them, I have to go back to that prior year, physically change it back in order to be able to change those. And right up here under the text up here in the top red, viewing data outside of active accounting year reversals and corrections are not allowed. So basically that's telling me I can only do so much. I can't do everything that I may want to do. Okay. Like I said, folks, 30 minutes is simply not enough time for us to be able to talk about reversals and corrections. There's just so much to it. You know, there's so many scenarios under which this could be necessary or maybe needed or occur. So, but what I hope folks take away from today's event is this is a very important window in Church Windows. And if you're doing the bulk of the work in accounting, it's something you really do need to become familiar with, and not only familiar with, but comfortable with. Okay. I can't unreverse a reversal. What I can do, though, is I can go in and re-enter a transaction, backdating it to the same, essentially duplicating it and re-entering everything and creating a new transaction. So again, can't unreverse reversals, but I can repost new entries to make it look as though it never was gone. Okay. So, all right, folks, it's 12:30 promptly. You've gone a minute over here. This is where I am going to leave our topic for today.